We're just, we just started roll call. So we, meeting came to order a minute ago, we've just started roll call.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, we can do a here or something. I'm gonna go alphabetically by
7.
community council. So Airport Heights. No Airport Heights. Basher. No Basher. Bayshore Flat. No Bayshore Flat. Bear Valley.
I'm here, Caitlin Jackson for Bear Valley.
Thank you. Birchwood. No Birchwood. Campbell Park.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Campbell Park. Chukia.
Here.
Thank you. Downtown. No downtown. Eagle River.
I'm Chuck Holman, President of Eagle River Community Council, sitting in for Cliff Cook.
Thanks, Chuck. Eagle River Valley.
Here.
Thanks, Alex. Aklutna Valley, not present. Fairview. Nope. Girdwood.
Yes.
Glen Alps. Unlikely. Government Hill.
Yes, Bob French.
Thanks, Bob. Hillside. Not tonight. Huffman O'Malley. Not tonight. Midtown.
Here.
Thanks, Chris. Mountain View.
Here.
Yeah, and we also, I believe, have
Mhm.
Jasmine as well, guesting for you. North Star. I don't think so.
Not yet.
Northeast.
Pamela Raygor is here. Northeast.
Sorry, yes, I am.
Thanks, Pamela. Old Seward Ocean View.
Yes, Gary Meter's here. Thanks.
Thanks, Gary. Portage Valley, probably not. Rabbit Creek.
Present.
Thank you. Rogers Park.
Are you here for the
Okay. Russian Jack.
Here.
Thank you. Sand Lake.
Here.
Thank you. Scenic Foothills.
Right here.
Yes.
Thank you. South District.
Here.
Thank you. South Fork. No, probably not. Spenard.
Here,
Thank you. Taku Campbell.
here,
Thank you. Tudor area.
Mm-mm.
Probably not. Turnigan.
Yes. Excuse me, Kathy Gleason here for Turnigan.
Thank you, Kathy. Turnigan Arm.
Michael Packard here for Trinket Arm.
Thank you. And University area. So, oh, he's disconnected, but I do see Steve Callahan from University area. Do we, oh, there's Jasmine. Do we have four? How many are there?
Let me count. We have like 22 people total.
Excellent. So let's have a quorum. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We're gonna try and be fairly efficient for this for the first half of the meeting. So we'll move on to item number 2, consent agenda. And we have somebody move to approve tonight's agenda. I move to approve. Thank you very much. Second. Thank you very much. First and seconded. I'll try and do this by consent. Does anyone object or have any changes to the agenda they wish to pursue? I'm not seeing any, so not hearing or seeing any disagreement, we'll approve tonight's agenda. Now we'll go on to approval of minutes from the last meeting. Again, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the January meeting. Thank you very much.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. And again, if anyone has any comments or objections to approving the minutes from the last meeting, please say so. Not seeing any hands or hearing any objections, so we will move forward and approve tonight, approve the minutes from the last meeting. That's excellent. We're already 1 minute ahead of schedule.
Take anything we can get.
So now we'll move on to education topic, which is going to be led by the chair, executive director. Treasurer, sorry.
Yeah. Patrick, I'm just here to chime in if you need it. You want me to do it?
Yes,
Oh, okay, great. So, This is just the formal report for our end of year grant. We did end up returning some funds to the municipality. Yeah. The number, you will see the total grant amount is different than the total grant funds received because the way the municipality has our training grant is that 10,000 is reimbursable and then the rest is paid out up front. So those numbers don't match because I didn't use all of the training grant this past year. And so it didn't all get paid out to us. My hope is in the future that we can have that as a separate line item so it doesn't look so confusing on these reports as to why we didn't receive all the money. And yeah, so we will be returning some funds to the municipality shortly. Our hope is that this year we don't have to do that because we budgeted appropriately. That's kind of it for 2024. Did you have anything else, Patrick, you wanted to add? Okay, great. And then it mentioned in here is also the 2025. So the update on the 2025 budget is that we actually don't have to wait for a fourth quarter amendment because the assembly has enough funds from 2024 to appropriate them into 2025. Assembly member Brawley has drafted a resolution that should go out on Friday. I just saw a copy of it today, in which they appropriate the 38,000 and change to us. So the full that we were expected, so we wouldn't incur any additional funds or expenses that we were expecting to pay, that we might have to pay out of pocket. They're just hopefully going to approve this and it would go cover those expenses for the whole year. I am going to talk to a couple other assembly members and see if they would not sign on as co-sponsors. We expect this to go through the consent agenda, and unless it gets pulled out, it should move forward because they're not having to change any of the budget to accommodate us. They're just spending money that didn't get spent last year, essentially. So fingers crossed. I am not expecting any negative, but I will be there next Tuesday to answer any questions for the assembly or just hope that it passes, and I will update everybody in an email on Wednesday, hopefully with positive news.
So just to clarify, because I think you missed a crucial first
Please
sentence
tell
for
me.
those who are not paying careful attention to this. We got the 2025 budget, which was a continuation of our 2024 budget. What we had asked for originally was an increase to provide 2 full-time members of staff, and that's what's being hopefully we'll go through the assembly on Tuesday. So it will bring the 2025 budget to our original request, which was higher than the 2024 budget.
So looking forward to good news on that front and wrapping that all up and being done with it.
It's been an education.
Yeah, right. Patrick, anything I missed?
You did not?
Amazing. I guess any questions?
Yeah, are there any questions at all on either last year's expenditure or budget or the coming year?
Yeah, I've got sort of a request and an idea.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to do a recurring donation to the Federation of Community Councils. But there isn't anything on the website to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I really, with fundraising stuff, I prefer look at it once a year, do a recurring donation, and then the organization can plan on that, and I don't have to worry about it. So like that, it would also be good if we could do it for the individual community councils. When we meet on Zoom, there's no way to pass the hat. And so I think we need to be able to, some way to collect donations when we do on Zoom.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. I've been trying to figure out what the best platform to facilitate that is in
Okay.
regards to one, the pure number of community councils and an organization that's going to support us having 37 potential projects.
Yeah.
And include 38, including ourselves, and 2, not charge us exorbitant fees to do so.
Yeah.
With the coming website, my hope is that I can have that wrapped up and have some sort of portal on the website to take donations. The caveat to that would be, we would only be able to ask for donations on with community councils that have had fiscal sponsorship MOUs with us. So if a council wanted to like work with us to facilitate that, we would just have to sort the rest of that paperwork out. But there's a number of councils that have already jumped on board, and so those we could like get started right away, accepting donations and putting it in their accounts on their behalf.
Great, okay, let me know
Yes.
what happens, I will.
Thank you for bringing that up. The other thing, board, I would love to point out is that I think it would behoove us to have some sort of policy around donations, the way they work, how we, like, especially for us, but kind of, there are best practices for for nonprofits in regards to how donations are accepted, how privacy works, all that kind of stuff. And I think to be the best we can, it would be great for us to think about adopting some really good practices and in official policy around that stuff. Hopefully before we start taking donations, but you know, yeah.
I'm mixing up my hats, but I go to St. Mary's Church and I really like how they handle the budgeting and donations.
Yeah. So, okay. But thank you for pointing that out.
Any other questions on the either 2024 expenditure report or the 2025 budget? So, thank you very much. So we will now move on to
Aaron Plitkoff and Marilyn Pillifant joined us.
Oh, yeah, we got Karen, Plankoff from Turn. And Marilyn Pillifant from Rogers.
And I think Abbott Luke as well.
Patty Higgins, yeah.
Oh, great.
Good catch, thank you. We've got a lot of people holding on to.
so now we're going to item number 4, another information topic. Start 4.1.
Me, again. So what we've been working up to in the past year is getting a strategic plan in place. And that is coming up. So you have probably gotten a couple of emails from me asking you to sign up. We are hosting a 2-day summit called Vision Through Action. Day 1 is for FCC delegates. And the purpose of that is we are going to come together and with a facilitator work towards creating core values and a strategic plan that will set us up for a 5-year plan. The goal is essentially that is going to kind of act as a committee that's going to make a recommendation for a strategic plan that then this body would adopt as part of a normal board meeting. So we don't necessarily need quorum. We won't be voting on anything, but we will be talking about the future of this organization and how it's going to best serve councils moving forward. I kind of broke that down in this sheet and was provided by the facilitator some pre-planning questions for everyone to consider, as well as an agenda. So that's on the back side of the sheet. If you're interested, including like, what are you excited about in the future? Is there a topic that concerns you? What goals, big ideas, projects require more different attention to be successful? Who do you want the FCC to partner with? That kind of stuff. So this is a way for the board to set us up for success and gives me a very clear plan about what you want from me. And then I will run forward full steam ahead doing what you want. That is March 15th. There's also a QR link where I will follow up with another email and another way to sign up. I really encourage you guys to come. We'll be providing lunch and coffee and tea. It's at Atwood Hall on APU. That one is going to be in the boardroom at APU, but we'll provide directions and all of that, free parking. It's going to be really fun, and I will talk about the second section for training later. And then the other thing I wanted to cover is that one of the fun things we like to do is recognize all the hard work that goes into community councils. And so as April, there's a week in April that's Volunteer Recognition Week. And as part of that, we wanted to recognize volunteers of the year for every community council. This does not need to be super formal unless you want it to be, but essentially what I was looking for is officers and leadership from every community council to put forward one person each that they want to be their volunteer of the year. We'll recognize them. I'll provide a little certificate to recognize their work. The goal is that these are the people who are like giving a lot to the community council in whatever way. And it's just a way for us to say thank you to everybody who volunteers their time. So you can participate, you cannot participate. It's just a fun thing. It's just a way for all of us to like feel good about all the work that you guys put in. And so, yeah, that's kind of my bit on that.
We also got Bruce Ferguson.
Oh, yeah, recognizing Bruce Ferguson.
What's the best way of, if community council has someone to nominate, is it direct contact with you or?
info@communitycouncils.org.
Or exec director, whichever works.
Thank you.
Does anybody have questions, I guess, on either of those topics?
Yeah, so if I could, this is Pam Rager. Just wondering, what's your deadline date for that, for us to turn in those names?
Let's see if I have the paper. March 30th. And I see a question from, Dale.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just a question regarding, you're looking for some volunteers specifically for community council work, correct?
Yeah, just somebody who's given a lot of time and support to your council that you feel you want to recognize, for their like past year of hard work and say
Okay.
like, hey, thanks so much for doing that. But, you know, I'm pretty flexible. It's kind of your award. I'm just trying to facilitate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions on either item?
Yeah, any questions on the Board of Delegates thing? I really hope to see everybody for that Saturday. It's gonna be good.
So that is the Saturday before our next regular meeting.
Correct.
Yes.
March 15th.
Evan Leaf here. No questions, but I just want to say that I'm very excited for the Vision to Action Summit, and I really think that'll be a good idea for the FCC to have a agreed upon direction and the manifesto behind it. So
Yeah.
So our next discussion topic is nominations for vice chair. So as those of you who were here last month may remember, Daniel George is just, I think it was just after that, Daniel George is running for one of the assembly seats, and as such, Daniel George, who was our vice chair, is running for one of the assembly seats. And as soon as you declare the candidacy, you effectively resign from this board. You can't be a candidate and an officer or a delegate currently in the FCC. So we have a vacancy for vice chair, and we are opening nominations this meeting. If anyone is interested in either nominating themselves or nominating somebody else for the vice chair position at the FCC.
We need someone to cover in case Mike can't make the drive.
Or I'm late.
There's not really enough snow though.
No, that's right. It's not too much avalanche risk. Okay. I'm hearing so many people running for this.
Oh. Who's not here?
someone did raise their hand in the chat.
Candy raised her hand.
Andy, go ahead.
I just said if nobody else wants to do it, I'll do it. I can guarantee I'll be here by Zoom. I may not be in person.
Thank you.
I'm gonna throw it off. I'll nominate John Thunberg. No.
We've lost our sound again.
Sorry,
Sorry, you're whispering. I'm just trying to remember whether we have a normally what we do is if this is a regular election, we would open the nominations at one meeting and then have a vote at the following meeting. I'm not sure if we do that, given that this is a vacancy during the year, and whether we can move forward to a vote now.
There's no rule. We can do whatever we want.
Okay, we do it as one. I'm happy to, if anyone wants to go ahead and formalize this move to a vote, we can do so. Because we do have one nomination, or we can hold it open to next month and do it then. I'm happy whichever the body wants to do.
I call for a vote.
Okay. So in that case, we should probably call for closed nominations first, do that, and then. Okay, so
I call the close.
close nominations. Okay, so just have a second to close nominations.
A second.
Thank you. Any objections? Not seeing any objections. Nominations are closed. So we have one candidate, Candy. We will, if anyone wants to, if you just want to speak briefly, Candy, just to introduce yourself to everybody, and then we will move on to a vote.
I've been a delegate for the FCC board since, I guess, last November, I think. I'm representing Tucker Campbell, and I've never done this before. I'm just getting my feet wet. But I'm right now acting secretary there, and so I just figured I'd get my feet wet.
Thank you. Really valued enthusiasm. It's great. So we will move forward to again, rather than asking for roll call, let's move forward to we'll do a vote by consent. So if anyone objects to doing this by consent, say so. We can go through a roll call. We do have some time. I'm not seeing any comments. So Candy is elected by consent to the position of vice chair. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think a round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Ari will send you some information so you can find out what you're actually in store.
Our next elections are May.
Yes. That's right.
As a reminder, in case you were really thinking about it.
Yeah. So May, and again, we have an opening of nominations the previous meeting. Okay, so our next topic is the retention policy. So we introduced this, I'll start with the discussion. The retention policy is towards the end of the document, at the end of our packet today. This was introduced last month, and there was some great discussion, particularly around retention of Zoom recordings, and that is now added into the highlighted portion on the second page, section 5. Otherwise, I think the document is as presented last month. Is there anything you'd like to add to the discussion on?
Yes, I can definitely add stuff to the discussion. There were a couple questions about the policy that I wanted to come back to. The first is that we did have enough funding in the budget to increase our capacity for Zoom. And so that will be built in moving forward, which is why you will see the retention for general meetings at 1 year. And so we won't do any noticing to councils that we're deleting them, because you'll have a year to let us know if you want the recording. And I'll do messaging to all the presidents and officers, letting them know that if they want a recording, we keep it for a year. Special meetings and other committee things will be kept for less time, just for the purposes of keeping enough space that we're keeping the council meetings as long as possible, essentially. Yeah, so that should give us plenty of time. The other thing is there was a question about UAA archives. UAA will take digital records of stuff. They only ask that we don't have both digital and physical of the same thing, which is really easy for us to avoid, because most of the time we just digitize it and then we can throw the original copy away unless there's like some particular reason to keep it. Yeah, so yes, we can give them digital copies. They're pretty chill about it.
Okay, are there any comments or questions or thoughts on the retention policy?
Kathy's got a question.
Go ahead, Kathy. Think you're on mute. Oh,
Sorry, Kathy, we can't hear you.
Kathy,
Like,
Did I just
we
mute?
briefly heard you.
mute.
There you
Sorry,
go.
for some reason I had trouble unmuting. I apologize. Thank you, Chair. When you say digital, does that mean a thumb drive, a CD, a tape from the 1980s? Any kind of digital?
Yeah, she did not say that there was a format they wouldn't take. I can definitely follow up if you have something that you want to give the archives from Turn Again, but on our end, anything like pre-2000 is not part of our records, so everything would be like PDF, Excel, Word document, and I know for sure that they take those.
Michael, go ahead.
I just have a comment. I was over at the archives a week or so ago. And I noticed when I was going through our archives that there were a lot of Turnigan archives in our folders. So if you have a community council that is similar to another one, you might want to check both of those. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Sarah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can't imagine that this would happen, but if we plan for it, it won't. But does the technology exist that if we wanted to keep the recordings of our meetings and we had a way to do that, we being our individual community councils, is that an option
Yes.
where they
There-
are? Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple ways. So you'll get the login for your Zoom account and you can just download them yourself. And then if you want to keep them, you can put them on a storage drive, or some councils are putting them on YouTube. I leave that at your discretion. But you'll be able to log in and download that yourself.
John Riley, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question about the CCs that are currently using YouTube and whether we could put together, or if someone would be willing to put together a little tutorial on what it takes to upload a video that's a 2-hour meeting.
Yeah, we can definitely show you how to create an account. I guess to the body, is there enough interest that we do some sort of training on this? Or is this more of a case by case as councils are interested, maybe we show people? Thoughts?
If there was something written for me, it would be adequate.
Yeah, I do think sometimes showing things is a little easier, especially online. Otherwise you have to like make a bunch of pictures and show where to click, but
sure.
Definitely can also see if there's already existing resources online that we can share. I'm sorry. I think Candy had a comment.
I think Amala was gonna say something as well.
Yeah, I think it would be handy to always have a little orientation on anything that we have the ability to use. Some people are visual, some people are, just even if it's just a short somewhere in a presentation or during one of these trainings that you do, just a little short clip saying, we're going to do this little area here. And then a cheat sheet, I think, is a great idea.
Totally. And I just want to clarify, we're not hosting the YouTubes like we do the website. So really all we're doing is showing you how to use YouTube, which I think kind of falls into general tech support, but I don't really want to, we don't have the capacity to stray too far into providing all kinds of tech support, like showing people how to use emails and stuff like that. So if we can find the balance there of, not.
So maybe I wasn't clear.
Sorry about that, Ari. No, no, no. It's just kind of, so, as you've heard, so many people come on, they're new and you have a secretary to take care of this or somebody. If during those periods of time that you have training, if you can do a 3-minute, if you're the secretary, here's how you're going to open this up or look this up. Or if you're the tech person doing it, nothing elaborate, just, general 3 steps and then a cheat sheet.
Also say, at any point, please call our office and we help with all sorts of, help find lost documents.
Do a little bit of everything.
Right here.
I'm happy to help someone figure it out.
Yes, are there any questions about?
Any other questions about the policy that we have written here?
No questions, but a comment. I personally think I've overlooked it and overread it twice, and I think it's all encompassing. It's very well written, and I very much appreciate the final the sentences in the 6th part where it states that the FCC will endeavor to keep information longer. So I'm overall very satisfied with this.
I guess I just want to add, we learned today it's going to take 3 people,
Well,
4 weeks to move all of the documents from our old website to our new website. So there's a lot of information that we retain, I would say.
hey, I'm not seeing any more comments, so I think we can probably move on to a vote. Sorry.
Probably don't want to do a sentence.
No, I think this is a policy. It's probably something we should do as a roll call. And again, we do have a look.
Do you want to do roll? Do you want to do it?
Actually, let's do hands up. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
So what we will do is we'll call for so if somebody wants to make the motion officially. No, sorry, we haven't. No, we've not.
I don't think we took a
We've
vote.
not officially had a motion. So we moved on to discussion without having a motion. So if someone would like to officially move that we adopt this retention policy.
I move to vote, is that?
Well, we should adopt let's move to adopt the retention policy.
I move to adopt the retention policy.
Thank you. And a second. Thank you very much.
I will second.
Sorry, I missed that.
Actually, seconded.
Okay,
Andy, second.
thank you.
Thank you, Candy.
2 seconds. So down the table, we've had the discussion. We will move to a vote. What I will do first of all is ask those who are online if you are in favor of adopting the retention policy, please raise your hands. If you're on camera, you can do it visually by raising your hand. If not, then the hand through the Zoom link.
And a reminder of Robert's rules, silence is consent. So if you abstain, you would be consenting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because Candy held her hand up physically.
Yeah, great. Okay, so you have count?
I have 8.
Okay, thank you. And then we'll do the same for those in favor in the room.
I did it. 6 in room and
6 in the room, okay.
What's our-
Now we will
it's like
do
over 22 people.
those opposed online. First of all, just throw your hand first of all, and then we will write thank you. Now, if you raise your hand if you're opposed to adopting retention policy.
Was that?
Are you
in
opposed?
favor or- No,
Okay, thank you.
We counted you for in favor.
right. Thank you. I have a little trouble hearing.
Totally. We'll try to speak up.
I'll try and scream. Shout.
Nobody's opposed, so everybody's in favor.
That's good. And then we'll do the same in the room. Is anyone opposed in the room? Okay, and lastly, because we were just reminded, if anyone wants to register abstention, they're welcome to do so, either in the room or online. Okay, I'm not seeing any abstentions. Would you like to give us the, Ali, would you like to give us the counts?
That, my friend, would be 0 oppositions, 0 abstentions, and that is 14 people.
14 in favor, okay, and none against. Thank you, so our retention policy has passed. Thank you very much. Okay, and we have probably another policy in the works, don't we?
Oh, we have lots.
Okay, so we have some more to come. Not the end of the
Bylaws.
time. Okay, so we will move on now to comment period. Does anybody have any comments on the FCC operation? Or
Questions?
thoughts or questions? Marilyn, go ahead.
Are you talking to me?
Thank you.
I can't hear you. Your accent is a little thick.
Sorry, my fault. I would say I don't have an accent as everybody else.
I know, I know. Under discussion, topic, the meeting dates, as I'm reading through the paperwork here online, did we decide to meet during the summer or not? Because it says it, whatever the motion was, passed unanimously, but by assent. So I don't know what the motion was. To keep the current schedule?
The motion was to accept the schedule that I had as part of the packet as is, and so that did include summer, except for July. It's a picnic, so no formal business will get moved, but we will be meeting informally.
Okay, now, thank you for the clarification.
I think the conversation on that day was if we wanted to cancel a meeting, we could take that up at that time, but that we would hold the dates. We gotta talk.
Okay,
Thank you.
Do you want me to hook up the extension mic?
I have it.
there's one just here.
He's just,
Maybe it's not on.
he's
All right,
just
fine.
mumbling.
It's the beard.
I just have a question, comment on a technical thing regarding Zoom for the FCC board meetings. I went to Rabbit Creek last week, and they have this weird thing where on the Zoom meetings, there's an online voting system for people in Zoom. And
Oh.
it's very efficient and effective, and I'm just advising that we should try to find a way to incorporate it.
Don't hate that idea.
Sounds good. Thank you for that.
I will look into that.
Awesome.
Yes, I've used that with other groups as well. It's very handy.
Well, I guess their caveat to that is as a nonprofit board, you have to have, I don't know if that would legally count. I actually might want to get a second opinion because technically voting has to be simultaneously and continuously. And so something like text wouldn't count. They're on the Zoom. I might throw that out to a professional and find out if that would be binding or not.
Is the voting, does it send a text message or does it tally within the Zoom platform?
From my perspective, being in the meeting, I was there in person, so I only saw the Zoom through the projector, but as I could tell, whenever there was a resolution that Rabbit Creek was trying to pass, people in the room voted, and then the secretary on the Zoom put up some kind of program that allowed for all voting for about like 30 seconds for people online, and it gave you approve, nay, abstain, and I forgot what the fourth option was.
And in case it's hard to hear him, we're talking about online voting for people on Zoom who are attending meetings.
So Ari, this is Pam Rager. If I could, we do that at Northeast. And we have a setup where they go into a room, identify them as members so that they're separated out from guests. Then we run the ballot in there and Murray Crooks usually does it for us, but we have a number of people who can do that where we track it and keep track of, make sure it's members. And then it takes a picture of the whole thing, keeps it right there for you so that you have it all.
Thank you. I see John and Marilyn both have questions. Are these both related to the last item? Or are they different questions? Right, Marilyn, I see yes. John, have you got a separate question or is it still related to the online voting?
I was going to report how Rabbit Creek does their voting.
Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
There's a poll function built into Zoom And so we just load the polls as much as we can in before the meetings, and people who are on Zoom, a screen pops up and says shows the resolution or what the vote's about, and you vote yay, nay, or abstain, and then you can show the attendees the tally, and then in the room it's done by just visual people raising their hands, but it's built right into Zoom, and then it stores it in the recording of the meeting.
Just to clarify, it stores the result or
Yes.
which
And-
way?
Yes.
Yes.
The result way.
And thank you for clarifying that. So when I say it goes into a room, what I mean is when they're on Zoom, when voting comes out to go to a voting room that it's electronic, you have to be identified as, and they get a message that allows them to vote in there within the Zoom system.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Marilyn, you also have your hand up?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Rogers Park is wanting to do the same thing. And so any assistance from the FCC to help us understand how to do that, that would be great.
Sure. It looks like Zoom has a technical how-to on how to get the poll set up and answers all these questions.
Great. We will follow up with some resources in the recap email that I send out after this meeting so that you guys can click some links and get all that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I would actually, I'm going to make one just because I noticed it's the end of the packet. But Ari, would you like to just talk about this summary? Oh, okay.
We have it in the education topic.
Yes, okay.
But I can still talk.
Well, let's.
Okay. Mike was asking about something that is later in the packet,
Which is actually in the second meeting.
Which is-
I'm running ahead of myself.
which is why we're whispering.
He's excited.
I am. Okay, if there's no more comments, then we'll actually, we can move to adjourn the first meeting. And then either move on to the second one or have a 10-minute recess.
We can move on to the
I think we
second
could,
one.
I think everyone is probably there. So let's, I call to adjourn the first meeting, board meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so we're adjourned to the board meeting. And now move on to the second half.
Council update. Switching.
Okay, so welcome everybody. If you do have trouble hearing me, just put something into those of you online, put something into the chat or raise your hand and I will do a better job. So we're now in part 2 of the meeting. Normally we'd start at 7, but we're a little bit fast today. So this, for everyone remembers, is the coalition meeting. So this is where we actually do our work as a set of community councils. We do not need to do a roll call, so we can move straight on actually to education topics. So we can move on to the council updates. So I will let MD go through these.
Great. Can we get the update from Abbott Loop?
Let me see. Yeah, we met in January. My father passed away, so we were unable to do it as hybrid. So it was all on Zoom. A little bit of confusion because we had a public hearing notice that went out about a planning and zoning issue, and the people who got the public hearing notice didn't get the message that it was on, on Zoom. So I'm not sure quite how, what to do in the future to make sure that if something comes up that the people. Yeah, I guess the person putting up a public hearing didn't realize it was both. And then they just got the location, not the federation. So I will respond to that. And then I wasn't running the Zoom, we didn't get the recording, made, so those people didn't get the information, which is bad. So I'm open for suggestions on how to head off that kind of problem.
I have more questions, so I will follow up with you.
Okay.
Yeah. We have Airport Heights, not here, Basher, not here. I don't think we got Bay Shore Flat, right?
No.
Okay, Bear Valley.
Yes, I'm here.
This is if you want to give your update or if you have anything to update.
Oh, sorry. No,
No.
we actually didn't meet in February, so I don't have any new update.
Thank you. No Birchwood, Campbell Park. Anything you want to share about what you guys are working on?
Yeah, my name's TJ Andrew, I'm covering for Kevin. We didn't meet in December, but, in November, Dave Donnelly came to our meeting and, he, talked about the, 6 schools at that time that were possibly closing. We had a discussion with them, and one of the things that I brought up was, the education center at, Northern Lights and Boniface. The office, where the school board meeting. I just made a comment about if for cost saving, possibly in the future, they could repurpose one of the elementary schools and move out of that building. That was just kind of a possible cost savings. Not too much else to report. I just know I saw a little bit of the Jill gavel on the PBS channel, and I watch it on occasion when I have a few minutes, but I know they were talking about education in Jill and funding. So I wasn't aware that there was quite a number of school teachers that are working in the administration, so there was some discussion about that. So anyways, thank you very much. Thank you.
Chugach.
Yeah, we had our meetings tomorrow night, but we did meet in January. We opened up nominations for elections. We'll have our elections tomorrow night. And then we passed a motion of support for Loretta French Park, which is one of the large parks out here. They have one field that has turf on it. We're looking at supporting them going ahead and finishing the other 3 fields with turf so that it opens up more availability of fields for some of the, especially girls sports. Girls softball, a lot of times they don't have a turf field to play on. So this would help support them and some of the other youth activities out here in our area. And that's about it.
No downtown. Do we have an Eagle River?
Yeah, Chuck.
Yeah, I'm Chuck Holman, President of Eagle River Community Council. Yeah, we had a executive board member resign, so we're short one. Yeah, attendance has been really light for our council. We are getting a new road built in Eagle River this summer, connecting Brooks Loop to Centerfield Drive. That's next to Wells Fargo, where people are crossing, using Wells Fargo parking lot to get across there. And the council previously had voted to recommend the naming of the road Pipple Place in honor of the Pipple family contributions to Eagle Rivers on their homestead. The current TIP Amendment 3 that's out for public comment. We're, I guess, excited about seeing the Artillery Road and Glen Highway intersection being on there. That's the primary exit off the highway to Eagle River. And then the state is in the design phase on the Glen Highway and Highland intersection, and we're in support of the Diverge About design for that overpass. And the board voted to recommend the Chugach Eagle River Advisory Board hold a meeting to address the community's concern about the gaming casino being put in on Birchwood Loop. That kind of concludes my report.
Eagle River Valley.
Hi, Alex Jorgensen here with the River Valley Community Council. We had a pretty light meeting last week because a lot of our members of our executive board were out of town, unfortunately, but we did have some members of the public that are running for the citywide school board seats come and present and kind of share as we do with anyone that's running for public office. So I think that's pretty much all that really took place at our last meeting. Thank you.
And no one from Aklutna and no one from Fairview.
Okay, thank you. So what we've been doing is going to be splitting these up, so doing a quarter, I think, a quarter of the councils each month rotating. Since we have some time, if anybody else from any council wants to provide an update, any timely update, you're welcome to do that now. We do have a few more minutes, if anyone would like to. I'm putting people on the spot.
Do what?
Yeah. Well, we'll do Kathy first online.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I don't have a lot of details, but there's one very committed volunteer, and we created a little bit of a committee at our meeting, our February meeting, to organize a West Anchorage candidates forum that we traditionally have done in the past. And so our key committee volunteer is looking to see availability of venues, availability of candidates, and just how far reaching we want to go, since a community council like North Star and Spenard have more than one assembly representative that, you know, overlaps districts, and so it can get quite crazy. But we're looking maybe at March 11th. That's just a potential date. So I just wanted to let anybody that's interested in finding more about our potential candidates forum, West Anchorage Candidates Forum, just please don't hesitate to contact me. I think we'll be finalizing some things in the near future. So I know Sarah from Spenard is here, and she may have a little bit to say or share, but thank you. I know they've been well received in the past, so we're looking forward to having a good event this year as well.
Thank you. We'll move to Mountain View.
My name is Phil Cannon, and I'm here from Mountain View. I just really, when you said, like, I read this and said urgent business for other council, like, I think that our upcoming community council meeting next week is going to be one of our biggest, most important ones we've had in a long time. We are having one of the municipal facilitators come and lead a conversation around solutions and homelessness. Mountain View has the biggest homeless camp in the city, and it's growing, not shrinking, because as they abate everywhere else around the city, everyone comes to us. And so that's going to be an important conversation. But the other big, I think maybe even bigger news is that 5 months ago, we took a vote of no confidence in the Boys and Girls Club as the operator of our community center, which is really an awkward thing to do, given that you think they're a nonprofit who does good. Why would you have an adversarial relationship with them? But they were cutting services to our neighborhood, and in what felt like a really inappropriate fashion, then starting to charge people. And it was kind of one thing after another. And the community, the mayor's office, the assembly, our Daniel Ballin went to bat for us. And essentially this summer, they just announced yesterday that this summer the Muni will take over operations of our community center. And I think right now we think that that's a pretty hopeful thing, but that's going to be news that's delivered to our council next week. And so be important.
Can you remind us when is your next meeting?
Next Wednesday night.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thank you. Andy, go ahead.
I we also had a vote of no confidence for secretary with Taku Campbell, and that's how I got to be acting secretary. So I'm not sure. We've got an officer elections coming up in April. So there's just been a lot of antagonism going around, and we're really small, struggling to keep a quorum, and so that's what brought about the vote of no confidence. So our secretary is no longer.
Thank you. Marilyn, do you want to go ahead?
Roger Sparks' turn. Okay, our meetings are the second Monday of every month. So we meet before the FCC meeting. So I feel kind of like I'm a little like a month behind for some reason. But nonetheless, March, we are meeting a week later because of spring break, just so people know about that. And we are continuing to work on the Seward Highway to Glen connection and what planning and zoning is proposing. We passed a new resolution, got reworked a little bit with some details, and Bob Butera and Dave Evans have been the guiding force in this. And the resolution passed unanimously. And apparently planning and zoning will take comments from the public until February 28th now, not there was an earlier date, which I don't have in my head right now. So that's kind of what we're working on at this point.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to go ahead? If not, we will move on to the representative reports. So I don't see. Oh, sorry, John. You did you want to add a report?
I just wanted to make a brief report that we had.
Please go ahead.
We had a member bring a resolution, which was very appropriate. It was not on the agenda, but a lot of the folks living in our area are becoming very aware of the risk due to our low snowfall, that the fire danger is going to be extremely high on Hillside, and the fire season may begin much earlier than normal. And so we had a discussion about what we should do, and we're going to send letters out just sort of expressing our concern and asking all the folks involved in the fire prevention activities that we've been involved with, the fire department, the city, the assembly, to just make sure that this is on people's radar screen, that we could have a record fire danger season this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll tell the update. Go.
I just wanted to give a brief update. The city has come into Valley of the Moon, Chester Creek, right down the street here at the corner of Firewood and Arctics, and has been dismantling large number of campgrounds. And it's just would be interesting to know where those people are going.
You have the answer.
That's not even I think.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I know we're talking about the homeless. A few weeks ago, in my neighborhood.
I don't want to interrupt. I said what we're primarily doing now is giving updates on the councils.
Yeah.
We weren't necessarily going to go into any topic in any detail, but
Yeah,
still go ahead.
This is a brief update. My name's TJ Andrew. I'm coming for Kevin, but about 3 weeks ago, we had some homeless camps in our boundary in my neighborhood. And I had called Anchorage Fire Department, talked to dispatch, and to report the campfire. And sadly, because I want to remain anonymous, the dispatcher hung up. So I got a little uptight, and the next day I made some calls to the community. To make a long story short, I sent an email to the mayor's office and the homeless coordinator and told them, or not told them, but reminded them about the municipality had passed an ordinance last summer, AO 2024-26. And this is ordinance for to keep the homeless away from creeks, schools, and parks. And this is like a 10-block radius. So after I sent the email to the mayor's office, I was surprised. Like I saw North Star Elementary School abatement happening, and there was camps by North Star, and they got abated. I don't know if it's because the email I sent to them about AO 2024-26, but the camps in Camel Creek were also abated about the same time. So it's kind of hard to say where the camps are being going, but if you look online, read up on AO 2024-26, and that'll give you up to speed more like a no boundaries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think what we're going to do now is move on to the representative reports. I do not see at the moment anyone from the mayor's office. Not present. And I don't see anyone from the assembly either. We will go on to, I do see someone from the school board, Andy Holland. Thank you very much for joining us, Andy.
Yeah, great to be here.
Please go ahead.
Biggest thing going on with the school board right now is budget. And if you haven't heard about it, congratulations. We did have about 140 people testify at our board meeting last night. Haven't had that many in a long time. We are also looking at movement of 2 programs to vacated schools. The Naka Valley Elementary will be closed as a neighborhood school at the end of this year, as will Lake Hood Elementary. The administration has recommended moving Rilke-Shula to Lake Hood and moving the Highland Academy to the Nanaka building. And then we'll move a different program into the education center that Highland would be moving out of. That's the administration recommendations, but at our next meeting, we'll actually take that up, and there will be quite a bit of discussion, I think, around what we do with it. On the budget, I'm going to try, let's see if I can put this in. We do have, it's really a bizarre funding situation in that we do have to choose, we have to do a budget now. even though we don't actually know what our funding from the state is going to be, we have to base it on a realistic number. That's the base student allocation, which really only funds about 80% of what we do on a year-to-year basis. When you hear that we have $110 million deficit or shortfall, that is, if we go into next year doing exactly the same things we're doing this year, and the BSA itself is our only funding, we would come up about $110 million short. And so it has meant cutting a lot of positions. There's a handful of positions all around the district. Nothing really saves us as much money as stacking more students into a classroom. And that's where the single biggest impact is going to be. We are also looking at completely cutting high school hockey, swimming, and gymnastics. Hockey and swimming are our two most expensive sports, and cutting all middle school sport activities. Those are things that are easy to stand back up if we do get funding later. I think the legislature generally is inclined to give us a healthy boost, but we have no way of knowing how that's going to work out. The governor is not so enthusiastic and has the ability to veto. We don't think the legislature can override it. So that means for the moment we budget on the BSA because that has always been funded. I think those are the highlights, and I'm happy to take any questions anyone has.
Thank you, Randy. We have one question in the room, one online so far, so go ahead.
I understand you said that the school board is going to recommend the two different schools moving into the other buildings. And you said another program moving into the ASD building. Do you know what that program is?
It is the ACT program, Child in Transition, and it generally tends to be older students, and it also includes what we call the Step Up program. It's not something we can easily house in a regular school building or in a building that's being used as a neighborhood school. There's a lot of the students in a Step Up program are trespassed from any of our school properties. Typically, there's been some kind of infraction. We still try to continue and work with them to get diplomas for them, but we can't let them be in other student populations. So we'll put them in with the administrators, which actually I think is maybe one of the most just things we've done in a long time. That's the administration's recommendation to the board. There is a real strong push by the Stream Academy to move into Nanaca, and there's some pretty good arguments for that. There's been discussion about the Alaska Native Charter School moving into Lake Hood. They are housed over at Abbott Loop Elementary, and that's good for at least a couple more years. We think we will be closing more neighborhood schools in the future, so everything could shift around quite a bit more.
Margot Bellamy had reported to our council last month that both Highland and Stream were looking at that the recommendation was going to be that they both go to Nanaca Valley, but that is not true. Is that right?
I don't think there's room for both programs. They do want to relocate there, but there's only room for one.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Candy online. Candy, had a question?
Me?
Yeah, did you have a question? How was that?
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to know why your first option with budget shortfall, why your first option is to stack more kids in classrooms instead of decreasing admin, because schools across the board have huge admins, and those are the jobs that need to go first.
They don't have as many as they used to, and the inflationary pressure that's kind of separated us from the BSA has been going on for a couple of decades. And if you were familiar with the education center where the central staff is housed, there are not nearly as many people in that building working as there were 5 years ago or 10 years ago. It does include trimming 7 or 8 assistant principal positions. Although I will tell you, as a classroom teacher, if you've got a kid that's really disrupting your class, you can't send them anywhere unless they have somewhere to go. And that's often the assistant principal. At one time, we had pretty robust in-school suspension programs that were actually staffed by teachers. That's been gone for a long time. So the other part is about 80% of our budget is classroom. And so we can save $150,000 here and there with administrators and different things. But if we need to save millions of dollars, unfortunately, it goes into the classroom. And we've been doing that. Right now at high school, we've got a lot of classes with 40 or more kids in them. We've got a lot of elementary classes that are around 30. Those numbers are way too high. And unfortunately, if we don't get funding, they will go higher. But we could eliminate administration completely. That would get us about 70 or $80 million. That's not enough to cover the shortfall. And that means no more paychecks, no more HR department, no more transportation. Yeah, unfortunately, as I said, why do you keep robbing banks? That's where the money is. And unfortunately, it does balance it on the backs of teachers. I will note that one representative in the legislature has advertised the fact that our DEI budget went up. That was a technical move where we had American Sign Language interpreters that were in the contracts and technical services part of the budget. They were moved to DEI because that's where other interpreters and translators and everything were located. So no one was hired, no one's budget expanded. We just regrouped because we do kind of try to simplify the departments like that. But this is affecting every student in the district in one way or another. And it's all negative, sadly.
Why are you not planning on defunding DEI?
DEI does things like our multicultural affairs committee. It handles translating our materials into other languages for the people in the parents and students in the district where English is not their main language or a language they understand. They do look at trying to make sure we are reasonably responsive to people that may not fit in with our culture that much. It's not a real big.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What would you be talking about? I can tell you what our
not
department.
Not the sign language. I'm talking about the racial, LGBTQ, all of that stuff, because that's supposed to be going away. It's totally un-American.
I don't know how much they spend in working with that directly. Those students are part of our district, and we do try to make sure they're safe and that they get educated, same as the kids at McLaughlin, same as kids that speak English.
I'm talking about the active.
Katie, thank you. We've had several questions. I think we'd like to go through the queue to Marilyn next.
I'm sorry.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Marilyn.
Hi, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Hi, Andy. How are you doing? You have a very enviable situation and position. This city does, as a matter of fact. I am a 30-year teacher in the Anchorage School District. And at one point, when I was teaching third grade, I had 35 third graders. Just because there is a like supposed student cap, that is not the reality in the classroom. And as dire as it keeps getting, closing schools and moving programs here and there, have you guys thought about, which could be a very positive collaboration, have you thought about, if classroom sizes are going to go up, putting 2 teachers in one classroom, giving more service to students, and providing an even better education, because you have 2 teachers who could, you know, collaborate together, and maybe that would help. I don't know. I don't know if you've looked into that or thought about that, but this whole DEI thing, in my opinion, is something Trump has just conjured up, and it's not it's not a bad thing. When we're working with students, it's something we really need to have, because it levels the playing field for kids who are disadvantaged, not speaking English as a primary language, and so forth. So I don't agree with the past speaker on that idea. So
There are some of our schools that deliberately do have combination classes like you're talking about. Unfortunately, when we're doing it for budget, it's a pupil to teacher ratio. If we actually take 2 teachers that have 35 kids in each class and put them together, that's 70 kids. We don't have, and so
but you could put smaller students, or less students, but more than the, you know, the cap. You know, you could have 40, 45 students in a classroom and 2 teachers. And that would be, in my opinion, be much more effective. It's not just a reality of, okay, we take this class and these 2 teachers and lump them together, because that would be a total mess.
it would be better, but the savings wouldn't be there. I mean, this is totally driven by a lack of money, and
of course.
Unfortunately, we're having trouble hiring those teachers, and we have not been able to hire student aides or teacher aides in any numbers. We've got a huge number of vacancies in that, because I don't think the pay for them has changed since you retired. It's still about $16 an hour. We are not able to fully staff our elementary gen ed classes. And that was never a problem before, but I think we've got 60 vacancies right now. And we started the year with more vacancies in the classroom than we've ever had before. So it would cost too much money to do what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I also worry about the special ed
Sorry.
students,
I don't wanna-
because they're not getting
Can
the
we move on to the
services.
next? Melanie, can we move on to the next question? We have 2 more.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you,
very much.
Andy.
I think mine is quick. Andy, you said that Rickaschul was looking at moving into a regular school. What are they doing with their building that they purchased and ASD helped fund?
That building actually is privately owned and leased to them at the princely sum of about $700,000 a year. And after utilities and the maintenance they're responsible for, they're spending close to $1 million a year on it, which is about 20% of their budget. So their lease is coming up, I think at the end of the summer. This is an opportunity for them to step away from it. The charter schools have been hit by the flat BSA, just like the district has. When Rilke went into that building, I think they figured they'd have regular adjustments for inflation, just like we've always hoped. It hasn't happened. And so the result is rent is now taking up a huge part of the funds they get from the state. So this will actually allow them to put 3 or 4 more teachers on their staff, as well as the fact that their current building doesn't have a kitchen, doesn't really have a playground, doesn't have a gymnasium. This will put them in a regular school building, and they are very excited about it.
I understand if you can just look into it was somewhere between 2 and 5 million that ASD fronted that privately owned school when you go through that process.
I was more
And
of
we
a,
don't have to answer it now, you can just look into it.
I was going to say I was more of an observer on the school board than I wasn't on the school board when that happened. I know it was an unusual transaction.
Yes, I
it-
was, and
yeah.
so you need to look into it.
Okay, but it is privately owned, and they do have substantial rent.
Thank you. Kathy, last question.
Thank you, Chair. I won't take up much of your time. Thank you, Andy, so much for taking the time to be part of our meeting this evening. We did have the Rilke Schule, is it pronounced school? Schule, at our February meeting. The principal of it, so it was very educational, and he wanted to present what they were proposing to do. It was to relocate at Lakewood Elementary within Turnagain. And you had also referenced Alaska Native Charter. I'm not sure that's the full name, that is also interested. Would the school board consider more than one charter school to relocate to Lakewood, or would you pick one or the other? Just curious.
They would not both fit, so it does
Okay.
have to be the other.
Okay, and so our discussion was good and informative, like I said at our meeting. Somebody did bring up the fact that charter schools don't have busing. So you have all the parents coming and dropping them off from who knows, where all over town. And that would increase a fair amount of traffic in an area that's kind of fairly restricted. It's 40th Avenue, basically off Wisconsin. And both of those are just neighborhood collectors. And so I don't know how the school board and administration is considering that element of things, but certainly our council is very interested in just keeping informed. And like I said, we really appreciate everything that you guys are doing. So thanks very much.
I have to say the Anchorage School District creates traffic problems all over town several times a day. We are trying to look at a way to extend transportation services to charters and optional programs. Technically, those students have a transportation allocation that comes from the state. There's a little bit of discussion about it because at one time, the state was just covering transportation cost. When they went to a per student formula, they took the total cost at the time and divided it by the number of students in a couple of different districts and got an average. But at that time, Anchorage and Fairbanks and the other schools weren't transporting charter students either. And so if we turned around and started transporting all students at that time, we would have come up short. So additional transportation funds are something we are also pushing for. The state doesn't provide enough to cover our costs right now, so we do use some instructional money for that. But we try to minimize traffic as best we can, but it probably will be a hit for the neighborhood. And to some degree, we can encourage people to carpool and do things, but everybody that drives at this town at times schools are getting in or out knows it has an impact.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the questions as well. I know this is, as you say, budget time. It's a huge issue and it affects the whole community. Thank you very much, Andy. Hopefully
all for the time.
Maybe when you're here next time, there won't be quite such a pressing issue. Thank you. We're going to move back to Mayor's office. Barb Jones has joined us. Go ahead, Barb.
Hi. I see lots of friends and acquaintances on. Nice presentation, Andy. I don't think mine is quite as dire. I have a couple of updates for you, primarily on, I'm going to start with the community council visits. As some of you know, the mayor's office staff has already been visiting your community councils, and the staff is planning to start in March visiting every community council twice a year. And I think there are some of you that may see staff a little bit more often than that. I anticipate that staff will be in touch with the community council presidents before they attend your meetings, so you can be sure to get them on their agenda and make sure they know what issues you want to address. Second, I wanted to let you know that the mayor is also looking to engage and collaborate with the community council presidents. And we have a little program that we're working on that we'll probably announce later this week. We're not quite ready to unveil it tonight, but hopefully some of you will be meeting with the mayor in the future. The next thing that I wanted to tell you is, as I do every time I come, be sure to sign up for the mayor's newsletter. I think you all know it's on the mayor's website. You can subscribe there. It's www.muni.org/mayor. And if you scroll down, there's a button where you can enter your email address to subscribe. The mayor's newsletter, the LaFrance letter, came out today, and it had a few updates about the municipality's abatement of the camp at Arctic and Fireweed. It had some information about a 2-day summit on homelessness that's coming up March 20th and 21st. The mayor's office is accepting applications for community grants. There's a total of $315,000 to be awarded to a variety of projects that support the mayor's priorities. Applications for the community grants are open until 5 p.m. on March 10th, and the application can be found again at www.muni.org/mayor, and it's at the top of the mayor's page. So I think that's everything that I have for you. If you have any questions for me, I'll see if I can answer them. And if I can't, I will probably take a message and have somebody get back to you before your next meeting.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you for the teaser. I'm going to be looking at my email all week now, waiting for that announcement. I see one question from Ari.
Yeah, just a follow-up from last week. Marie had mentioned that there would be some sort of portal or way outside of the meetings, the twice-a-year meetings, that community councils could get in touch directly with the staff member of the mayor's office if they wanted something specific talked about. Is that still in the works, or is there an update on that?
Did you know, I forgot about that, Ari. That is our trifecta with the community councils. So we've got people visiting twice a year. We're gonna have some engagement with the mayor, and we are gonna set up a special spot on the mayor's website that community council can contact the mayor. And that is correct. Thanks for reminding me about that. I don't think that's live yet, but it should be live soon. And that's not the teaser.
There's something extra. Thank you. Any questions in the room or online for the mayor's office?
I just have Evan Leaf for Senate. I just have a question about whether the mayor will be attending the opening of the Ferrande Festival in Anchorage.
The mayor will be at Ferrande. She's going to be sitting in the booth for the parade, and she will be going to the Bridge Builders opening, which is right next to the parade. And I suspect she might have another event or two. I think she might be judging the ice sculptures.
Thank you.
Just recognizing Jason Norris from Huffman O'Malley.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, your name is Barbara?
Yes.
Yeah, my name's TJ, I'm with the Campbell Park Community Council. I know I talked about this earlier, but, I know when it comes to the payment for the homeless camp, I know there's quite a number in the Anchorage area. And I wanted to ask, with the mini ordinance, AO 2024-26, is there priority for abatements near the creeks, schools, and parks? Is there a priority for that?
TJ, thanks for your question. Did you know, I'm sorry, I won't be able to answer that, but I will get that to the homeless team. That is Farina Brown and Thea Agnew-Bemben. And they will be able to address that question. I think that I can tell you that the mayor's priority is public safety. And that is, I think that you saw in the paper that the municipality won its lawsuit. The ACLU sued to stop the lawsuit, stop the abatement of the camp at Arctic and Fireweed. And because it was a public safety concern, the municipality prevailed and that camp was abated. But again, that's information that, is public in the court case. But for your question, I just don't know the answer to that, but I will ask Farina and Thea to address it. And then can I have them get back to Ari about that?
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much again for joining us. We will now move on to item number 4, which is officer training. The other part of our
We have more program stuff coming. So we talked about March 15th, March 16th is officer training. We invite elected officers for community councils to come and participate and learn some skills about, leading community council and creating a vision for the future of their community council. The first part is going to include multiple presentations. Daryl Hess will be there to talk about bylaws. So if you're interested in a bylaws update, like some of the stuff we'll be covering. Chair Constant will be there to discuss Robert's rules and making good, effective use of Robert's rules in your meetings. We are going to have an ethics training, and then in the afternoon, we'll be doing council strategic planning. The idea being delegates having on Saturday done strategic planning for our organization can use some of those skills in partnership with their with other officers and create maybe a vision or an idea of how to bring your council together to think about the future of your council. We often find in the council space that you have to be reactive instead of proactive. And so we kind of want to change the dialogue and have you guys dreaming about what your future looks like. Lee Post will be there doing some graphic processing with us, which will be really cool because he'll be doing that live. And yeah, you guys will get an opportunity to get some skills on that kind of for like thinking forward and getting in front of your agendas and getting in front of like what your year is going to look like. That is kind of purpose of that. If you have any questions about like attendance, you can email us info@communitycouncils.org. But we encourage elected officers to show. We will have lunch again. That will be at the Atwood at Alaska Pacific University. Yeah, I think that's kind of my one too, but yeah. Or, I mean, if you have officers in training or people who you're like, this person's probably gonna be an officer soon, and they need some skills or some resources, like, this is gonna be one of those spaces, so. First time in 2 decades, or in a decade, 2014.
Thank you. I'm seeing questions or comments on that. So we'll move on to our next topic.
Oh, we have a hand raised.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Patty, go ahead.
I just wanted to get, what was the date again on the officer training?
March 16th. And it is in person. I will just share that we have lots of trainings that occur in lots of formats. Some are only online, some are hybrid, some are only in person, some are weekends, some are weeknights, because everybody has different availability. So this won't be the only time we do training. We will do stuff in the future, and we will try to hit different points to connect with different individuals depending on availability. So I apologize if you are looking to attend via hybrid or via Zoom. This is unfortunately not that space.
Okay, that's okay. I probably managed to come up with a ride.
Sweet. Yeah,
And
we
that's
would love
on
to
the
see you there.
1/6.
The March 15th and 16th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any more hands, so we will move on to item number 5. The survey on mayor's office attendance. So we've heard from Barbara about their clients.
Yeah, and we put this together in light of the plan that was kind of put forward. I know that the Federation has asked for clarity and responsiveness from the administration about attendance at community councils, and we'd heard a variety of things. Some people having attendance, some having none, and just wanted to get some clearer data. So we put together a survey. We had 11 respondents across every assembly district was represented. And so we compared the current administration against attendance from the previous administration, just as a comparison point, not picking anything in particular out. What we found is that the administration, for most councils that reported no attendance at their meetings, and that most councils are dissatisfied or unsatisfied with that level of attendance, meaning councils are looking for more attendance and more responsiveness. And then what was presented by the mayor's administration was biannually. And so the question from me to councils is that what you're looking for? And what we found is that that's not what they're looking for. And we kind of presented a couple different options and then allowed for another. And most people were looking for the mayor's staff to attend every other month and stay for 15 to 30 minutes. I think kind of you either get quality or quantity sometimes, right? You're either going to get them less regularly for a long time or more regularly for short times. And so I was curious what people were looking for. And it does feel like for the most part, based off the councils that reported, we were looking for more regular attendance, even if it was going to only be 15 or 20 minutes. I just wanted to put this forward as the Federation. Yeah. Wanted to. Okay.
Okay. Any questions on this? Or any thoughts or comments?
My comment is, I'm very happy that the mayors are going to be coming to community councils at least biannually. And I'd say it's better than no attendance for my sake and my own experience at Sand Lake. I've never seen the mayor's face or any of their staff there. So I'd say this is a welcome change.
Okay, thank you. So I'd ask
Sarah.
Sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
Is there a plan to share that data and I guess what comes out of this discussion with the mayor's office, or have we kind of wrap that up with the portal plan that Barbara Jones shared with us?
I missed the beginning of your question.
What was it?
She asked.
Oh, are we planning on sharing the data from the
Right.
survey that you sent out?
Yeah. I was actually just about to come to that very topic. So what I notice is there is a mismatch between what the survey results say, where the majority of people want bi-monthly, and what the mayor's office has just outlined in biannual.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if given that's the choice, or that's effectively what's being presented with us, I'm wondering whether we should share this and say that it's necessarily our preference, or whether we should re-ask the question given the way it is, or what the sort of feedback is in this room. I think I was one of the people who said bi-monthly would be better, for example.
Yeah, and I will say the mayor's response or the administration's response last month was actually neither of the two options I gave. It was biannually, and they would potentially come for 15 minutes and would maybe come longer if requested. So not biannually where you're staying for your whole meeting. I think my question to the board is, do you think there needs to be further action or conversation with the mayor's office and the FCC regarding this topic? Or are we good and happy or okay enough that we'll let blind dogs sleep?
Darren, you want to either answer that or make the general question?
I just had a general question, actually. Just,
Yeah, go ahead.
one of the things that we've seen from previous administrations is that if the mayor can't come to a meeting or can't attend this meeting, a lot of times they'll publish something specific to the community councils, whether that's a list of events they're trying to push forward or something like this, kind of like her newsletter. And if the newsletter is that document, is it possible to get all the community council emails added to that, or do we just need to go in and add them ourselves?
And my follow-up to that is somebody did say that that their council would be happy with just monthly reports if attendance wasn't possible. And so I think that's also a conversation of, okay, if you're only going to come biannually, can we get some sort of formal report that goes out? Is it the newsletter? That's a great follow-up of like, are you doing that? And we just need that.
That was probably me that put that comment in.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, we need to hear from the mayor's office, and if they're not coming to our meeting, a lot of the folks that are in there, they're getting a filtered version of whatever we bring from this meeting. It would just be nice for them to hear it direct, or hear it in some type of format in a letter. Thank you.
Kathy.
Thank you, Chair, and I appreciate the discussion. I don't know if it's just Turnagain, but I don't think it's just Turnagain, but we are so buried in things going on, and a lot of it's airport, but a lot of it's at the municipal level, and the problem, which I appreciate the effort of saying the mayor will attend 2 of your meetings within a year's time. That's pretty good. But the problem with that is if a calendar is made in December of the coming year, and she's planning to attend on April and then October, let's just say for Turnagain, but that's planned, way in advance. We may have something come up that we want to be, more of a ability to have the mayor at a specific meeting because of a specific thing that may have come up on our agenda. And I know that's the, there's 2 spectrums there, one end of the spectrum versus the other end of the spectrum as for how you deal with this. So, but that would be a problem for our council specifically, is that we don't know any given month how much rains on our parade as terms of an agenda and issues or positive things that we'd want to discuss with the mayor, if possible. So I'd love to hear what other councils have to say about that.
Thank you. Sarah.
Yeah, I can't remember if they said last time how many staff kind of rotate through community councils, but have they considered doing something that's sort of like assembly boundaries where it's kind of regional? Like, okay, I'll attend the west side ones, I'll attend the north side ones, something like that, because even more than hearing from the mayor's office, I'm interested in them hearing from our residents. And even just sitting in a meeting for its entirety to see what our concerns are, because I think when you come and you just report for 15 minutes, and maybe sit for another 15, you're not really understanding what the issues are and how a community is dealing with them. So I guess I would rather have someone, give a 5-minute report, but be there the whole time. Even if it's on Zoom, that would be what I would prefer, just so they really get a clear understanding, because I think it takes like 3 meetings before you kind of roll with a vibe of how that meeting is run.
We're cutting into Chelsea's time. We are, so I was just trying to wrap it up, but thank you for that, thank you for that thought. Sorry, John.
I think this is a good step forward. I mean, I think we're 8 months into the mayor's term, and we have yet to see anyone from the mayor's office. So a commitment to at least do 2 meetings a year, I think is a great step forward. And let's try this and see how it works. And maybe they will see, oh, there is value in going to community councils. It is a function that we will continue or maybe expand upon. I think we should be grateful that we've got this.
Well, and I guess we can report back, we can check in and see if it's occurring, would be my follow-up question. Again, do we want to share this information? It's on our Zoom, so, it's gonna be public anyways. Do we want to, does the board want me to do anything forward with it? We can at least.
Yeah, I mean, my sense is this is public information, so I think it's fair to share it with the mayor's office. I think what we should also do is, as discussed, is make a commitment to keep this in mind, see how it's going, and maybe go through this exercise again in a few months.
Sure.
When we've got a better sense of what actually was.
Totally. So delegates, keep a tiny tracker in your head and then get attendance, and I'll follow up in like 6 months and we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll get great attendance.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. So we'll now go on to the highlight of today's meeting, which is hearing came from Chelsea on the CIP survey.
Good evening, everybody. Luckily, I'm going to be short and sweet. So I'm not going to need that.
I knew we could
beautiful
cut into
20 minutes.
I was gonna make a motion
that
to send our meeting.
that Art gave me all. I'll try to be very brief. Bad news is, as you likely have already noticed, we didn't get our survey out in January as we had promised when we came in November, or as we had was our goal, based on feedback from you all and from the assembly. Good news is we are imminently going to get it completed. Ari is going to hold me to March 1st, and so hopefully our IT team and everything that has to come together will come together for that. So expect the community council, the capital improvement program, CIP, community council survey to be launched in the next couple weeks. And with that, I had also promised or talked about in November when I came here that we are going to be offering multiple trainings. So the first one is going to be on March 11th, and that's going to be the part of the Local Lens series. And that's going to be more similar to the presentation that Taylor and I gave back in November, just about what the capital improvement program is, and why we care about it. And then March 18th, and that'll be at 7 p.m. and that's on Zoom. I'm looking at Ari because I'm making sure that I'm getting all this information correct.
The goal of that is public education, so that would be something that you will go on YouTube and you could share with your membership, or to encourage them to join if they're like, why are we talking about a CIP and what does this do? Like, this would be a resource to direct people to about why it's so important that we get their opinion.
And then the next training will be on March 18th, which is about a week later at noon. And that will be hands-on with the CIP survey that has been launched, and talking through how to enter projects, how to prioritize projects. And so that will be for whoever on your council, maybe you, maybe somebody else, that is really the person that puts the projects in. And again, that'll be recorded, available after the fact. And then throughout the survey period, which we're aiming for 3 months for the survey to be posted so that you can introduce it, pass a resolution, and then have time to actually get it submitted. I will also be available to like side by side walk you through getting your projects entered if that's needed, if it's, the tool hasn't changed significantly. I know we've gotten a lot of feedback about making it more user friendly. I'm hoping that with additional trainings and having more resources to help you get it entered, that process won't be quite as challenging as it has been in the past, but unfortunately the tool isn't going to be significantly different.
My office will also be available to help with that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. So I think that's my update. Sorry, did we cover anything else that I forgot about?
It'll be extended March to.
So we're looking for 3 months, hopefully. So if we can get it launched March 1st, we'll do our best to have it open till the end of May. This, like many things, the sooner you can get it completed, the better, but we also understand the community council process and all of that stuff. And then we are getting it launched. As long as it's launched on March 1st, it'll be 6 weeks earlier than last year. And so next year we'll look at getting it 6 weeks earlier than this year, and then we'll be at a better timeline for aligning with CAPSIS and all these other things that in my mind would be the ideal timeframe. And that would also give municipal departments more time with your feedback as they're looking at their CIP program for the next year.
And I'll just reiterate, the local lens on capital improvement projects is March 7th at 7 p.m. on Zoom.
11th.
Sorry,
March
March
11th.
11th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. And then the technical training for people who are inputting to the physical survey is going to be March 18th at noon on Zoom. Both of those will be recorded and put on our YouTube, and we will have follow-up technical training opportunities as we get closer to the close period. We just wanted to start with an open one. Yeah.
Thank you. John, and then I see Catherine have a question. John, go ahead. Please.
Is this for the fiscal 2026 year? And when does the fiscal 2026 year begin?
So the municipal calendar year begins, it's the same as the fiscal year, if I'm saying that correctly. Because the budget process, through the assembly happens late fall. So they're asking the budget that will happen the next year.
We're trying to get this ready for the assembly's meetings in the fall. Is that the goal?
Right, so departments get your feedback, and then departments give the administration our feedback, and then the administration gives the assembly their feedback, and then the assembly makes the ultimate decision. So that's why the years are always seem off.
And Chelsea and Taylor did a great work session in front of the assembly that I watched about that process and how they take in community council input, which we will be doing something similar and doing outreach on. But if you want to look in the meantime, that's on the Muni website. Really great resource.
Like 2 weeks ago. Something
Was
like
it?
that.
I think it was like a week ago.
Really?
I don't think it's been that long.
Kathy, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for attending our delegate meeting this evening. My biggest problem, especially last year, but it's happened pre-last year, so I've just been so frustrated with the current way to do the CIP survey, is I get timed out. Because I have noticed over quite a few years of doing this that the project description doesn't ever change regardless of the input, where councils can tweak the description of what we really want for that particular project on any given project. And so it takes quite a bit of time for me to actually try and figure out and not lose anything. And, that part I'm hoping you'll really work on with people like me. But then all of a sudden, I might be a third of the way down, but I've already put an hour of my time into it, and then I'm timed out and I can't ever get back in. And then it shows, okay, Turnigan's done their thing. And that's a real flaw in this software. And so I'm hoping that you can take this particular issue that I've had for a long time on behalf of Turnigan Community Council and provide volunteers and community leaders, community council leaders, where we want to go in and we want to provide the input and we want to rank our projects appropriately, to be able to do so without the level of frustration and, in last year's case, lack of ability to even finish up. I tried it 3 times and I logged out every time and I lost what I had put in. So hopefully you can address that in the workshop. So thank you.
Yep, we'll do our best, Kathy, and yeah, happy to help. Glad to be reminded of that timeout issue. I think we were aware that you had to like save pretty frequently, but I wasn't aware that it was actually kicking you out. So we're gonna do some test runs next week before, that's part of why we can't launch next week, because we want to do test runs before we launch. And we'll see if that's an issue when we're working on that.
Okay, thank you.
Stephen, online. Do you have a question? And if you're speaking, you're still on mute. You can't.
I concur with Kathy on that. The last time I did this, put together the CIP list and upload it. I mean, there's got to be a way to do a batch upload or something. I mean, the interface, as far as I'm concerned, is very difficult to work with. I mean, I don't know what you plan on doing on changing it around, but it's got to be more user friendly. You got to work on that UX a little bit there. That's basically my opinion. But a batch upload of projects would be nice. And there's a lot of stuff you can't change in there, if I recall. So I don't know I don't know who over there at PM&E is entering this stuff, or whoever's doing it over there at the building over there on Elmore. But yeah, if you want us to be involved in this, it's got to be easier and a hell of a lot less time consuming. That's kind of an opinion. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I should be able to send you a Word document and you can upload this stuff and you can put it into the system.
And this year, that is an option. It hasn't been an option previously, but this year that is an option. Yes.
That'll work then. And I mean, at some point in time, I mean, it's taking us 20 years to get one road built too. It'd be nice to see some of these projects actually get done. So, the university area is all about capital projects.
Why I got involved in community council, so it's something that I definitely care about.
Thank you. We've actually hit 8 o'clock, so if there are any more questions, we should probably extend the meeting forward first.
I motion to extend the meeting by 5
5
minutes.
minutes, okay. Thank you. I should get a second.
Second.
Thank you very much. Okay. Do you have a question as well?
I just have one question. What would be a good heads up motto or idea for council and general public of the community to have an idea of what to pay attention for, or what could be considered CIP? What's something to just let the general public know, like what to pay attention for? What would be a good CIP that would get recognized?
That's a great question. So the CIP, I think for the most part in the CIP, we're looking at larger scale projects, not so large that we can't fund them, but not like this sidewalk needs a curb cut. That type of request should go either to me or to street maintenance to do sort of like small changes. But we're thinking more like my entire street is failing and you need to come and redo the drainage and the pavement type of thing. Or my street is missing a sidewalk and I really want a sidewalk on my entire street. Those types of things are the projects that I deal with specifically, but obviously we have the CIP we have parks projects, we have a whole bunch of projects that we haven't ever done surveys on, like libraries and who knows what else we could do, get the community's feedback on, but those are, I do public works projects, so. Is that all?
I'd like to follow up to that question. Our number one project on our CIP list has been number one for many years. We just found out it doesn't qualify. So there's a lack of, I think we need to elevate awareness of what qualifies as a CIP project and what doesn't.
Clarify, what do you mean?
We have a set of stairs over here that we've had on our CIP list for many, many years. And we just found out this year, well, that doesn't qualify. It's not a new plan. No one ever,
very tricky.
No one ever told us that project doesn't.
I think people didn't know for a long time, but yes.
But maybe that's.
Yeah. I think that is one aspect of the CIP survey that I'm grappling with a little bit. Because there are also a lot of communities that have big feelings about some of our larger roads in Anchorage, which are almost entirely DOT roads. And it's not, I don't work at DOT, so it's not clear to me how much DOT pays attention to the responses of the CIP survey. I know years ago, there used to be a whole category for state. When there were categories, one of the categories was state. Anyways, so I guess, back to sort of like understanding what counts. I think we don't necessarily know unless people submit projects. But also it's on us that are looking at the responses to make sure that we're providing that feedback, like, this is a project that makes sense, this is a project that doesn't make sense. And without having a little bit more interaction with councils, I don't know how you would know that, or how, you know, person in my position would be aware of what's even on the survey. So I think we're making progress. Yep.
DOT will be at our local events.
Yes.
Talk about how they look at it.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any more questions for the CIP survey. So I'll just open up any other general comments. If not, then I'll say a motion to.
You have to make it.
You have to make-
That's like the second meeting.
I entertain it. You can move it. Thank you.
A second.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for